All right, guys, here we are. We are at the beginning of episode 3. As we promised, we are going to take young Jonah here, and we are going out and we're going to do driving for dollars. So we are just leaving our office here in Eastridge, Tennessee. We're going to head over to the East Lake area of Chattanooga, which is just on the other side of the ridge. And here's our plan today. We're going to drive around and we are looking for properties that looks like nobody cares, right? It's properties that look like they're a little bit distressed, maybe boarded up windows or broken windows, trash all over the yard, maybe somebody's been evicted, tall grass even though it's the winter, like just stuff laying around, things that might indicate that that property is vacant, right? Because what we're searching for here, are properties that have just really been neglected, right? And then we're going to track backwards and try to get a hold of those sellers through a couple of different ways to see if they're interested in selling, right? Because that's what we're all that we're searching for are, something or someone that wants to sell these properties. So here we go. We're going off. Let's do it. So one of the reasons that I love driving for dollars is because when we moved to Chattanooga in 2009, we had no money. I always tell people we were half a broke. We didn't even have enough money to be considered broke. So, we had to do some things to find deals, right? Even back in 2009, there wasn't all the cool softwares that there are now. So we had to go out and just figure out people who might want to sell. So I like to say everything in life, you either have time or money. So if we had money, we could have just pulled a list and sent postcards or run TV ads or radio ads. But most people don't start there. They really don't. Most real estate investors, and especially all the successful ones that I know, really all started, very broke, and they had to bootstrap their way up. So most people started with bandit signs and driving for dollars. So that's why I love it. It's the way that we started. So moved to Chattanooga, had no money, and literally just got in the car, had a pad of paper, and I would just sit here and drive all around, street by street throughout the city and look for these properties that looked like they were vacant. And then we would come home and, write out letters to these people, say, hey, Mrs. Smith, I was in your area, saw that your house looked like it might be vacant. I'm looking to buy a property in this area. If you're interested in selling, give me a call. Or if you know anybody else who's interested in selling, give me a call. And that was literally how we started. But now software and technology is advanced to where you can just literally go by, take a picture of the house, and it will catalog the address, and it will automatically send out a postcard. And you can skip trace and do all of those things as you're driving. You can literally pull up the seller's phone number and give them a call and see if they're interested in selling. So that is why we are using the Deal Machine app. So this whole episode is sponsored by Deal Machine. They're our friends over there, and they have created an amazing app that lets you do everything almost really instantaneously. So you don't have to go back and look stuff up and try to find the owner's address and handwrite letters and do all of that. Literally now we can take a picture of the house, confirm the address, click a button, boom, and a postcard's going to be mailed out to that person. Because what's important is speed, right? Speed and making sure you execute. I can't tell you how many times I would go out and write a list and then leave it in the car, spill coffee on it, whatever, and then it gets just thrown out with the trash, and I've wasted all that time. So very, very important. Before you go out and do this, make sure that you download the Deal Machine app. So for those of you not familiar with Chattanooga, over there to the left is Lookout Mountain. Straight ahead is Signal Mountain, and then behind us is Missionary Ridge. So a lot of Civil War battles were fought here. Like most cities, any city or town, when it was started, usually started by a river, right? Because that's where people could live and fish and boating and commerce, all of that type of stuff. But the way most cities start is, in a spot like that, but then they expands out like rings of a tree, right? It grows. It's called the path of progress. And what happens is, as people have moved further away from the city, that's where you get your suburbs and things like that. And when people move out of a city, the inner city becomes kind of blighted, right? It becomes a lot of low income, just bad areas, right? And now what's happening in a lot of cities across the country is people are moving back into those areas and revitalizing them. So I always like to start when I was wholesaling in the areas that are maybe a little bit lower end, because you know, if you're thinking about who, you know, what we're doing here, right? We're going to be looking for properties to sell to cash buyers. So there are far more cash buyers with, you know, $100,000 than people with $800,000, right? So driving for dollars typically doesn't work really well in, you know, $1 million subdivision, right? Or a $500,000 subdivision, because, you know, first off, those people aren't going to let their properties get dilapidated normally. And, you know, again, they're typically a little bit more sophisticated of a buyer, and just there's not as much opportunity for deals, two, for when you get that under property to find a cash buyer very quickly who want to take that property. So I like to start, like I said, in areas where the values are a little bit lower, because landlords love these types of properties, right? Whether the economy is up or the economy is down, landlords are always buying. If we get into a point like we were in 2009 and 10, where interest rates were so high and banks weren't giving loans, well, that gets very difficult to sell to a rehabber, because a rehabber, you know, wants to fix the property up and then sell it to an end buyer. Well, if there's no end buyers buying, you're wasting your time. But landlords are always looking for cash flowing properties. So let's get started. Okay, so we're in the Deal Machine app, and one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to start tracking our route. So I don't know if you can see it here. But one of the things that it's going to do is highlight which roads we've gone on, because when you're driving for dollars, you're going to get to the end and go, oh, did I miss that street? Because some of these maps look like spaghetti, right? So you're going all the way around every place, and you want to be able to look back and go, oh, did I drive every single street, right? We don't want to miss anything. So let's start here. Where are we at? We're on right off of Dodds Avenue in East Lake here. You can hear the ambulances going by. We're on East 31st Street. So we're just going to start, and we're just going to kind of ribbon back and forth up all these streets. We're going to drive this whole section here, and let's go find some properties. All right, so what we're doing, we're just going up and down each street here. And it's amazing, these are the same roads that I drove 15 years ago, but a lot of these houses have been remodeled and are in a lot better shape. But there's still stuff where, like, you could tell people are living there, but there's a lot of stuff out in the parking lot. But let's look at this one. This is actually an ideal property right here. Let me see this. If you look at it, if you look at the property, you can see no curtains, definitely vacant, actually in pretty good shape, newer roof. So what we're going to do is pull up our app here. So we've got our app. I don't know if you can see it there. We're going to take the camera, and it's going to tell us, it gives us the address, 2907 5th Avenue in Chattanooga, and we're going to add to list. So there we go. So now we've got a picture of it, and it's been added into our CRM, and when we go back, we can make sure and instantly click the button and send out a postcard. So here we have an empty lot, which, same thing, empty lots are good as well. Let's add that to our lead as well, because people are always looking for lots to build on, and we can get those pretty cheap. So when you're driving, this is a good sign. Seeing people working on properties, that means the area's starting to rebound a little bit. You can see someone's beat us to that one and remodeling it up. I like that one there.
And then, like with this one, David, you say you like it. You can see, like, in the windows, like the curtains and everything.
Yeah.
It's a little beat up. Nobody's here right now, but the property looks like it could be in a distressed situation. Like, they have another door hanging on the back wall.
Yeah.
So just looking at these, like, distressed properties, even when there's, like, it's not vacant, you can kind of tell someone's there. But, like, the level of distressedness in the property whenever you see it could potentially show you, like, how good of a lead that could turn out. Like,
100%.
People could be tired of dealing with it. That's why it looks like that. And
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. So, yeah, what we're, yeah. So even though somebody may be living in it, we're looking for properties where maybe the landlords are tired of dealing with it. I know I've got some properties that just wear me out because the tenants just leave it a mess all the time. And tired landlords are a great source of leads. Another thing that you can do is pull up your county's court records every week and look at the people who have filed evictions. There is nobody more aggravated with a house than somebody who just filed for an eviction on a tenant, because it's been months and months and months of chasing them and not getting paid. So those are also a good list of people to reach out to.
A question about landlords and people getting evicted. So if I go and I pull an eviction list and, I see this landlord just evicted their tenant, they're tired of dealing with this property. If we were to go and get that property under contract, we've already talked to the landlord, it's under contract, and then we end up finding a buyer, deal closes through. How does that process go with if the tenants were still being difficult, trying to use squatter rights after their eviction?
Sure. Well, great question. So what we do as investors, our job is we're here to solve problems, right? So do you think somebody who's squatting in a landlord's property, that landlord has a problem?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Well, the more problems that we can solve, the deeper discount that we can buy that property at, right? So everything is risk and reward, right? If you're going to buy a Porsche 911 with a blown engine, you're not going to pay full price for it, right?
No.
Why not? Because you got to fix the engine, right? So you're gonna buy it at a discount. So say houses work the exact same way. So if we are going to, let's say it's a $75,000 house, and even if it's in good shape, but we've got to evict the tenant, well, we're going to buy it for maybe $40,000 or even $35,000, right? Because once you have to think of who your end buyer is. That once they buy that property, now they've got to take over that headache.
Oh yeah, being out here and driving around like you are, I'm sure you can tell a difference from when you used to be out driving for dollars coming out.
Oh my gosh, if we go over to East Chattanooga, it's completely different. All kinds of new builds. They've torn a ton of the old properties down.
Oh yeah. Over the last 10 to 15 years, how long has it been since you've not been?
June of 2009. Oh, when we stopped? We probably stopped driving for dollars heavy probably around 2013, 2014, somewhere in there.
Okay. So over the last 12 years since you've came out into the field, you coming out here driving for dollars with me today, and you've seen all these properties, a lot more investors are getting to them. We're seeing a lot more rehabs being done in some of the areas you used to find were almost gold mines. How would you say the competitiveness has grown for wholesalers in the Chattanooga market?
Well, there's definitely more people. That's an interesting house. When we started, we were the only wholesalers here. Nobody was wholesaling, so we were it. Definitely more competition. However, most competition sucks. They're not willing to go in and put in the time and go do the driving. They're not willing to, pick up the phone and, call people or answer the phone when it rings. So there's, one great thing about wholesaling is anybody can do it, but most people are lazy and they aren't willing to do the work. They want to do it for a week or 2 or 30 days and they're like, oh, I didn't close my $1 million deal. Real estate's a scam. I'm going to just quit. So the people that do have success and have that longevity are the people that get up every day and go do it. Because one thing we can tell you for sure is it does work. Our business, Easy REI Closings, we've closed $500 million in closings for investors across the country. So 100% wholesaling works. It's a great strategy. But you gotta do the thing. If you do the thing
works.
The thing works. So yeah, competition isn't a bad thing. I mean, look at how many realtors are out there. I saw a post this morning that a guy called 20 realtors, not one answered and only 2 called back, and 1 called back after 3 weeks.
Wow.
So, the competition out there is mediocre at fucking best. You do not have to be a superstar. I mean, it doesn't hurt. But my God, if you just get up and do the fucking basics every day, you're going to win. But most people quit.
Oh, yeah. And then looking at some of these houses, even if I can tell people are living here, we've driven past a couple of them.
Yeah.
What are like the clear indicators that you're seeing that even though the house, like outside, exterior looks, it could use a good 10, 15 grand worth of work.
Yeah.
What is like an indicator that you think like that deal
like a lot
happen?
of trash, even if someone's living there, you know, broken windows or, you know, just it just looks dilapidated. You know what I mean? Not, I think Justin owns that house there, or one of these in here somewhere. We bought a package of like 15 of them one time. Yeah, I mean, it's just a mess, right? Just trash, cars parked up on the grass. Oh, I knew the guy that used to live there. Yeah. Wholesaled that house there years and years ago.
So about this house right here on the left, like it looks like this, you know, paint's all off of it.
Probably a rental.
Probably a rental.
Yeah, let's add it in. Yeah, postcards are cheap. I mean, when in doubt, add it to the list. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm never afraid to add them in.
Would you say like landlords that like don't have the time or the energy or like the motivation to put that into their property, even though they have like a good tenant, would still be looking to sell that property just so that they don't have to put that money into it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's literally the term tired landlord. They're just tired of dealing with it. So here we are, we're doing a little driving for dollars here in Eastlake, Tennessee. And this here is literally the picture perfect idea of what you're searching for. You've got a house boarded up. You know, you can see here that the electrical has been disconnected from the street and that they pulled the electrical meter. So perfect house, you know, that you could pick up for probably a couple grand and sell to a wholesaler, or to and sell to a real estate investor. And, you know, you probably make $5,000 or $10,000 off of this thing here. Now, a couple things as an investor that you should know when you're talking to the seller, so that you don't overpay, is you can see that there's some wood rot up here on the side, right? Like, let's just imagine we've talked to the seller and we're coming out here to, you know, to take a look at it. We've got some covered up wood rot there. So that's some stuff that's going to need to be probably some roof repair. You can see it does have a new roof, but you can see at one point it had just probably a bad roof leak. So there's probably some stuff inside. My guess is the reason that this meter was pulled off is because it was condemned. So I bet the inside's in bad shape. You can see that the deck is falling here. So it's definitely got some structural things. So whether or not this house can be repaired or not, you know, not sure, maybe. It could be something you buy and, you know, wholesale out, and the new buyer knocks it down and puts in a new property or a new house. So yeah, so these are just kind of some of the things you want to look at. And, you know, when you're comping, right, we talk a lot about comping and looking at other cash sales. Like, we're going to want to be at the bottom of the cash sales for this. This is definitely a distressed property. You can see the property behind either looks new or it's been completely remodeled. They're not the same. You know, they're not. This is something that I would only offer probably a couple of $1,000 for, basically the value of the land. And my conversation with the seller would be, hey, look, I get it. You know, it's been condemned. The power's been pulled. I'm going to have to pull permits and do a complete remodel and bring every single thing up to code. It's honestly probably cheaper to just tear it down. You know, I'd love to take this off your hands and you not have to deal with it anymore. Because even though it's boarded up, like, they've still got to cut the grass. If somebody comes here and gets hurt, they could still get sued. So, yeah. But this is the ideal type of property, you know, something that an investor will come by and fix up. And it's probably a little 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom house, and it will just cash flow like crazy. You know?
Yeah, the fascia is so messed up.
Oh, the whole thing's fucked. But it's a deal. All right, let's carry on here. So that was a good property. That's the kind of stuff that we're looking for. So usually I love to do this with two people. One person looks out one side, the other person looks out the other. Love it. So we're going to add this as a lead. But, oh, okay. I can actually see, this actually tells you who owns it. Ray Fortner, I actually know him. And he sold it to Spartan Investments, which is out of Birmingham. I actually know those guys. But we'll still send them a little message and see if they're interested in getting rid of it.
So like when I'm out and I'm looking at these houses, you know, and like I go to add it to my leads list, but like I like just scroll my tab up a little bit and I'm like seeing who owns it.
Yeah.
If it's like already sold to an investment group,
Yeah.
How would you say going about that?
Investors still sell properties. Doesn't matter. Hey, so you got this property. You guys interested in selling it?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So do you think like some of these investment groups, like they just find these houses and they send the seller an offer and they're holding them, or do you think that like they're getting it through a wholesaler?
It could be a bunch of different things. Who knows? But here's the thing: never prejudge. Never prejudge a lead, because I've bought properties and then not been able to get to it for 2 months, and I'm like, fuck, let me just sell this thing off. There are people who buy stuff and plan on doing one thing, and then they end up doing something different. Let's do this one over here.
And also, do you want me to go in there and like add these to a certain list?
They're all going to be added into your list here.
I got you. Because I know on that deal machine, there was like, whenever I got access to it, there was already like 86 leads on there.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, where those came from. One looks empty. There we are. Now we're getting somewhere. Upside down trash cans, I would say that's definitely empty. Now we're cooking with gas. Kind of get the hang of it. Not super hard. I actually used to like to do this. I'd put the radio on, and for me, I thought it was kind of peaceful.
Using Deal Machine instead of pinning it on my phone and then writing it down in my notebook.
The reason this is going to be faster is it's going to pop up on your screen when you get back to the office, and you don't have to write it down and look it up and go, oh my God, did I write down the wrong address? Because that's the biggest thing. Is a lot of times when you're going through here, like we may be writing down 3406, and I've got to remember that I'm on 5th Avenue or wherever I'm at here, and then you get back and you're like, oh, that's the wrong address. What am I? Shit. No. Now you've lost that lead. You know what I mean? So that's why, I'll tell you, when this first came out, my friend Justin was using Deal Machine, going out and taking pictures, and could anything be better than this? Like, as an investor, let me just show you. When you see that, like, that's the money right there. Like, actually, nice house, for where we're at, filled with shit on the porch. So either somebody's getting thrown out, or it's a new kind of hoarder. A special kind of hoarder where shit pours out onto the front. So, everything that we're looking for is right there.
I want to give them a call too.
Yeah. Yep. So that's awesome. Just what we're looking for. And that's not us doing anything wrong, taking advantage of somebody. There's somebody there that probably needs some cash. Oh, it's empty everywhere. Somebody's been thrown out of there. Great. They probably want to sell. We're here to help. And so this is what makes us different from agents. Where agents just sit around and wait for someone to say, hey, will you list my property, and hope for the best. We're out here trying to make a difference, trying to talk to the people who, are losing sleep over these properties at night and are looking for a solution. So here's another one. That one's got 2 doors, so it might be a duplex. Might be a little bit closer.
Would you say,
one thing you want to do too is probably always confirm that the number matches what's online, the street number, just to be sure, just to double check.
So like if I go throughout my day, you know, and I go out driving for dollars and I create a
wholesale
list.
This house here.
You know, 50,
the house
75.
was flea infested when we did it.
Ooh.
Years ago.
But I get like 50, 75, 100 houses on my list. And then, you know, I come back to the office or, you know, I go back home. Should I immediately send those postcards and then just start cold calling each and every one of them?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we want to hit people from as many ways as possible. It's like shock and awe, right? I want to kind of touch these people by text, by call, by postcard, and then, you know, we'll keep them on that list, that running list of reaching out to them. And when you get 50 or 75, that was good before lunch. Then go get another 75. I mean, the trick is to build up. The reason that we had success is because we built up a massive, massive pipeline just as quickly as humanly possible. So, yeah, I mean, you get 100, go get another 100. I mean, how bad do you want to do a deal? Wholesale that house back there, that blue one. Remember, because it was always sitting so far back. But yeah, I mean, your likelihood of doing a deal goes higher and higher and higher with the more leads that you've got. And there's just no leads as good as driving for dollars. You know, we can pull a list of absentee owners who've owned it for 10 years, who it's free and clear. But that does not mean that, you know, the property's dilapidated or anything. But seeing something like this with no siding, you know, very, very likely that somebody would want to sell that and just be tired of dealing with it. It's amazing too. You think some of these houses are just such shitholes that you can't fix them, but then you see, you know, houses like this, new windows, new siding, like you can 100% bring these properties right back to life.
Oh yeah.
You know? And that's what investors do. You know, they come in here and revitalize the neighborhood. You know, we get such a bad reputation sometimes, you know, for whatever reason, right? I get called a scumbag on social media all the time, but you know, these are properties that are sitting vacant and squatters are in them. If you were the next door neighbor, wouldn't you want someone to come in and invest money in your neighborhood and fix it up and make it a nice rental for somebody? Of course you would. Of course you would. That's what we do.
No, I don't know a single person that would want to live in a house, keep up with the property, keep their property looking nice. They own this house, but then they're surrounded by rental properties and they're just run down. The tenants ruin the properties, ruins the neighborhood.
Yeah.
The neighborhood ends up getting a bad rep. Like, would you want to call your family, have Thanksgiving at your house and you're surrounded by, you know, shittier properties, or would you rather call everybody over for Thanksgiving and your whole area looks nice?
Yeah, that's you know, that's what we're trying to do. Keep these properties looking good. Now, I mean, are there bad landlords? Of course, sure there are. For rent. Okay, so we're gonna take a picture of that. So this is, I'm gonna get you this picture really close. So we definitely want to call this guy. So for rent, people are fantastic to talk to, or properties that are for rent. We'll drive by here. The very first property that I wholesaled, and it was a for rent property. And I called him and said, "Hey, you know, I was driving through the area, saw that the property was for rent. How long you been trying to rent it for?" Because I'm trying to ask a question that's going to tell me something. If he says, "Oh, just a couple of days," Oh, great. Well, how much are you renting it for? Whatever. I can get some information. Are you looking for any more properties? Right? Because maybe he's a buyer. Here's another property that's absolutely perfect. Boarded up. Looks like someone's doing some work on it. It's kind of been sitting for a little bit. House next door is good. House next on the other side's been remodeled. So perfect type of property to reach out to the owner and see if they're interested in selling. So one of the most important things when driving for dollars, you do have to pay attention to a little bit of your surroundings, because people will get pissed because you're driving slow in the middle of the road, or you run through stoplights, or stop signs, whatever. All right, Jonah, you're on the right.
Yep.
3208. Does look like somebody's working on it, but that's okay. We'll get it.
Hold on. It's not popping up for me.
Hit that little refresh button.
There it goes.
See this one right here on the corner. 3201, I think.
Yep, 3201. Off market, free and clear.
Is it? Nice. There you go.
Well, let me get another picture of it though, because that truck came and got right in front of my picture. Yeah, another cool thing about Deal Machine is like whenever I go and I look at a house and everything, I can kind of...
Oh, this is my house.
Oh, nice.
That guy's been in there. Oh, he leaves shit everywhere.
If I tap on it, I can hit the picture button on it. And then I can upload like new pictures to it and like take more all around it.
Yeah, I bought that house for $2,000 down on a 5-year note. It's been cash flowing for years and years, just $800 a month.
Oh, here's another one boarded up.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's another one on that corner too. Yeah, give me the gold. Listing agent. It's been on the market for 20 days. Sold on May 14th. How do you suggest going about properties that are like on market with a listing agent? Like reaching out to the listing agent, being like, "Hey,
I would personally reach out to the seller, but I'm not a licensed agent, so I'm not bound by their rules.
Gotcha. Now,
because it could be a listing that's old. It could be just, who knows? I want to talk to the seller.
Yeah.
If they want you to speak to the agent, that's fine. Working with agents is going to be far more difficult. I promise you, because they're very rigid in what they want to do. They're not going to be flexible. You're going to have to use their contract. They're going to want a ton of EMD. It's going to be more of a challenge to work with agents. I don't love them. I've done business with agents. I have friends who are agents, but it's not my preference by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, that one right there to the right, that blue. There's a ladder on the side, but they got boarded up windows. Not the bottle of Don Julio sitting on them.
Tells me that you know that's Don Julio.
I'm a bartender.
What is Don Julio? Is
It's a tequila.
Oh.
I just know what it looks like from a distance, just because the shape and the color.
So, looking at this property, you may think that's a complete shithole, and it is. You would be right. But, an investor will buy that. Like, everything will sell for a price. Right? Don't be confused. Every single thing you can wholesale, but you got to get it at the right price. And here's what's so important is we always say start with the end in mind, right? What is your end buyer going to do with this property? How are they going to make money, right? So if you can put it at a price where your cash buyer can do something with this property and profit from it, then they're going to buy it, right? So important thing to remember when wholesaling is, we cannot squeeze every drop of profit out of every single deal, right? We are simply middlemen. We're deal finders. And, if we want to have a good relationship with cash buyers, we have to make sure we're bringing them a property that they can make money on, right? So hopefully that makes sense. You can't sell everything for, the full as-is value, because, the person who's buying it from you has to make some money too. And that's someplace where I see a big mistake with wholesalers starting out, is they try to price things too high, or they don't offer the seller a number that makes sense, that they can make a little assignment fee out of and then still sell to somebody else. It's like treasure hunting. You know, we're out sifting through looking for treasure. So let's say you do this for a week. You're like, oh, this sucks. I'm doing this for a week. And then you find the deal that pays you 20 grand. Is that worth it for the week?
Oh yeah,
Beats the fuck out of bartending, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing though. But most people quit before they get
hell,
to that
a month
point.
and a half's work is worth $20,000.
Yeah.
My next 6 months is worth $20,000.
Yeah. So that's it, right? That's how you've got to look at this thing. And then the more you do this and the more you build out that pipeline, because the thing is, on day one, you may not find the deal. You may not. I have lots of friends who hit a 40,000 pop on their first call. So one of the things that I was told when I was first starting in real estate is everybody wants 3-bedroom, 2-bath. That's what you should get. And that's absolutely crap, because over and over again, we're looking at these properties that are being remodeled. We just saw one back there, and it's probably a little 700 square foot house. Somebody was going to remodel it. It was going to be maybe a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and those things will rent like crazy. So don't ever get into the frame of thought of, oh, nobody would want that house, I'm not going to do it. I promise you, every single house here, somebody built it, right? So if somebody wanted that 2-bedroom, 1-bath, we're going to get this one right here, this 3508 on the left. There's always somebody for every single house, whether it's had a fire. Just let me know when you got it.
Got it.
Okay. Whether it had a fire, whether it's vacant, boarded up, like somebody for the right price will come in and fix that property up. So that's where, you know, talking to buyers and talking to sellers, you start to get a feel for where the price markers are at. Okay, look at this here. You know, that's literally a little 600 square foot house that somebody bought and has remodeled. Super cute, and now that's a great rental for you. Yeah, I mean, lots of these little houses that, you know, investors who don't have $1 million will come in and buy, and they'll start their portfolio. Here it is, 3609, the very first house I wholesaled in Chattanooga. A little historic spot. So this was the one that had the for rent sign on it, and it was a duplex. And that was called the guy up, talked to him. It was empty inside. Actually, it wasn't really completely ready for rent, and even though he had a for rent sign on it. And yeah, I sold it to 2 young guys who had just graduated from the private school here in Macaulay. So, yeah, first deal right there. First one that closed, not the first one that we sold, but that was the first one that closed. We might drive by the other one here in a minute.
I feel like you get a lot more return on duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes than you do on
yeah, so that's a great thing to talk about. So yeah, 100%, anything multifamily is always going to be in very high demand, right? Because investors are doing that, right? They want more doors for their dollar. So instead of paying $80,000 for a single family, they could pay $110 for maybe a duplex, right? Something like that. So yeah, anytime you get a lead on a multifamily, 100% you want to work it as hard as you can. And but on the flip side though, like buying apartment buildings, great, because you have more doors under one roof, right? Like one roof for 30 properties. Oh, get that. And but when I go to exit that property, right, when I go to sell it, who am I selling to? Probably an investor, right? And that investor is going to beat the shit out of me on price. Whereas if I buy this property and keep it as a rental, and I can sell them off one at a time without having to sell my whole portfolio. So if you ever need cash, you know, having a bunch of properties like this are literally like having just a bank account where I can just go, let me pluck one of these out and go sell it and make $200,000. And we've done that a bunch of times. Or let me just refinance one of them. So there's definitely pros and cons to both sides.
Hey, so we just wrapped up and everything. We're heading back to the office. Just finished a day of going out, taking action in the field, looking at houses, creating our leads, you know, based off just distressed properties, distressed homeowners and everything. Learned a lot of valuable information today, especially like a lot of these houses that I'm looking at. Like, you know, you start researching wholesaling and trying to go out and find these houses. And like one of the things that are commonly brought to your attention is whenever you go out, you're just looking for trashed up yards, boarded up houses. But there are a lot of other things that can go into it too. Like we drove past a house and, you know, up on the fence in front of the house, it had a for rent sign with name and number. People that have had like a house that have a sign out front for rent, you know, maybe they've had that house up for rent for 2 to 3 months and they haven't found a tenant for it yet. So that landlord could be stressed out, wants to sell that property, he's tired of dealing with it, tired of just sitting around and waiting. A lot of people, you know, they want to see a return coming. They don't see that return coming soon. What can I do? Sell your property. We'll get it taken off your hands. Amongst other things that I've learned today is just going out in the field, you got to pick a spot, go down each and every street, each and every one of them. Even sometimes, you know, you'll find houses that look like they might just start being in a remodel, look like something might just be happening with it. It's just one step of the process. You know, a landlord, they might not want to go through the whole process of it or just doing a little bit to the house so they can find a renter for it. They still want to get that property off their hands. It still creates a situation. Can't wait to get out in the field, go and do this myself. Trying to set up a schedule, you know. 100 houses isn't enough. You got to get 100 houses one day, get 100 houses the next day, and the next day, and the next day. You know, good quote that's out there. If you do the thing works. You go out there, you find all these leads, you keep doing it, you're going to build your pipeline, and you're going to start seeing a return on your investment of time.
Who said that quote?
Heather Anderson.
Heather Anderson.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, guys, that's it for episode 3. Thank y'all tuning in and joining us. Have a good one. See you next time.